YouTube, what's going on? In today's video, we are going over the Warzone patch notes for Season 1. They did come out a day early, which was pretty exciting, and there's a lot to cover, so we're just going to jump right into it. So there's a separate section for multiplayer and zombie patch notes. Like I mentioned, we'll just jump straight into what affects Warzone directly, and there is a lot. First thing that they decide to mention is Ricochet anti-cheat. Now, if you played Warzone over the last, pretty much from the start of last season, it did seem like support for Ricochet was being saved for the new game for Black Ops 6, and they do mention a couple changes. So Treyarch is delivering several updates to combat disruptive behavior, including AFK detections, battle against account boosting. I do know, especially in ranked, this was a big issue, allowing people to basically to achieve rank pretty quickly. So it seems like they're trying to counteract that, as well as adjusting ping thresholds, which is pretty interesting because we know two boxing and VPNing is a thing. We're going to see if this really makes any real difference. The next thing they mentioned related to ranked is that now players need to win 50 matches in multiplayer to play. I'm assuming this I'm actually curious if this applies to multiplayer ranked solely or both Warzone ranked and multiplayer ranked. We'll have to find out. I'm assuming it means for both. They're also launching basically it seems like an update to Ricochet's detection systems with Season 1. Now, obviously with a new season comes a new battle pass. There is a lot to cover here. Obviously, we have the Black Cell skin up here. We have the Black Cell skin that you have to pay to get, but there's going to be a lot of content probably to unlock. We're going to see if they change the structure of the battle cell. I assume not. It's probably going to be the same similar map system, but it could be different based on some of these pictures here. Might just go back to the list system that they previously had in Warzone 1. Also with Season 1 is the new Resurgence map, Area 99. I will be jumping into this. Now, if you're following a lot of Warzone content at this point, you probably know a bit about this map. I'm assuming size-wise, it's probably going to be closer to kind of like a Fortune's Keep, less like a Rebirth Island. Maybe somewhere in between, but we'll be playing that on the channel, and let me know if you want to see content around Area 99 and what type of content you're looking for Area 99. One interesting thing they mentioned is that Urzikstan is coming back for Season 1, but it's actually a reverted version of Urzikstan, so there's no destruction of the Popover power plant or the arrival of Superstore on this iteration of Urzikstan. It seemed like, I think that they started development with the integration of Omni movement, all that, around the time of them deciding to add power plant and Superstore. So they just worked off of that build that they had, and they didn't pull, they basically didn't bring in those other changes because they wanted to have a stable map to work off of. So it kind of sucks, but we'll see if the movement changes and some of the other stuff we're going to cover is enough to make Urzikstan feel fresh, because there's actually a couple things that they did change that I do think will impact the way Urzikstan plays, especially when it comes to ranked. That's going to come mid-season of this season, so that's pretty exciting to look forward to. We also get Rebirth Island back, but this time with Omni movement, all kinds of Black Ops 6 changes, skill streaks, floor loot, the perk system. So this is kind of what I was alluding to. So vehicles have been tweaked. All vehicles have now improved handling. We'll find out more below. They added a dirt bike. Like I mentioned, the floor loot is now Black Ops 6, and they added some visual and audio improvements. We'll see what that feels like and sounds like and looks like. So here's the playlist that they're going to have with the launch of Season 1 all the way through December 5th. It seems like they're gonna have solo, duos, trios, and quads for Urzikstan and Resurgence Area 99, at least for this first weekend, along with Plunder in Urzikstan, and they'll have Boot Camp, which is going to be in Urzikstan. But then after this initial launch weekend, they're gonna add in quads, Rebirth Island. I'm assuming that it's going to be a standalone playlist. It's not going to be a rotation, but I could also see Resurgence Quad rotating between Area 99 and Rebirth Island. And yep, they're mentioning here to celebrate the new Area 99 map. It's an exclusive Resurgence map during the first weekend of launch, with Rebirth Island then returning to the playlist. So it might be that they're just going to rotate quads between Area 99 and Rebirth Island. Rank playing, like I mentioned, it will be part of Season 1 Reloaded, which is exciting. They do mention that because they're allowing for Modern Warfare 2 and 3 guns to carry forward with this version of Warzone, all your blueprints should carry forward, as well as they did mention this AFK detection, which I think they mentioned in the section about anti-cheat as well. The Black Ops Armory beta is it's sort of new, but at the same time, we've had a version of this, which to me reads like the Armory in Modern Warfare 2 and 3, which it provides access to previously missed loadout content from prior titles, including MW2 and MW3. Players can look for and activate the item in the Armory, start earning XP towards it. So how I understand that is let's say you did not unlock a certain attachment in Modern Warfare 2 and 3, but you don't want to use that gun, what you can do is you can activate it, and when you do challenges and more than likely get weapon XP, when you get weapon XP, you will then be working towards unlocking that specific attachment, which I think helps because we're going to talk more about some of the changes that are really interesting, and I'm not sure how they're going to play out, but they did do some things with Modern Warfare 2 guns as well as Modern Warfare 3 guns, but I think Modern Warfare 2 guns probably needed more work, and it seems like they dedicated a good portion of this season 1 launch to making Modern Warfare 2 guns more viable in this version of Warzone. So they do talk about the progression system. There is a Warzone mastery camo. I'm assuming it's going to be kills. We have to find out when we play the game. So obviously with Black Ops 6 integration in Warzone, they're bringing in the body shield. They're bringing in the dedicated melee weapon, so it allows you to run faster. And then they have shootable doors, so you could, instead of sprinting through a door, you could shoot through it to open it, or maybe even nade it. I used to nade it in previous Warzone, so I'm assuming that still holds true. So some combat adjustments. You no longer have, and this has been talked about a lot, so I'm going to kind of skim through this piece, but basically your loadout, unless you have the wild card that allows you to equip 2 primary weapons, it's going to be similar to the traditional Warzone where you could have a primary and a secondary. Secondaries are usually handguns, launchers, things like that. But if you want to bring in 2 guns, you have to equip the wild card. You have to equip the overkill wild card to be able to do so. So they are allowing you to pick up self-revives if you're down, which I think will be an interesting new addition to Warzone. They've adjusted the live ping duration, which I think is needed. I think pings are powerful, but I do think that they're a little overpowered, especially with Combat Scout and things like that. But we'll see how this plays out. They've also increased the armor plate speed. That's pretty cool. They've adjusted the abandon timer, so situations where you're about to get interrogated or body shielded, I guess, you could hopefully just give up faster. This one's going to be interesting. So I think the death's door has to do with when you're getting shot, and basically your character gets tunnel vision and it gets really loud. You can hear the breathing, the heartbeat. Seems like they're lowering the health to when that kicks in, but also they're basically making it so that this kicks in when you have 35% health versus 50, which I think is good, and it also will end at 55. So when you're about halfway, you no longer have that breathing and that kind of thing, which ideally would also mean that you might have better audio cues when you're trying to regain, because that was really loud, especially in Modern Warfare 3. So obviously Omni Movement's coming in, and all the components for Black Ops 6 are coming into Warzone. Unlimited Tac Sprint is here in the form of a sprinter perk, or just by holding your melee, and we'll talk more about the perks that are available in Warzone. So we have some movement adjustments. Tac Sprint duration. We heard feedback around default Tac Sprint duration, so now it's gone from 2 seconds to 4 seconds. So they basically doubled the amount of time you can run in Tac Sprint, which I think with Omni Movement and that kind of thing is a huge win. We'll see how it plays. We'll see if it makes a huge difference. But it seems like they're listening to the feedback that the game got to a point where it was too slow. I think Modern Warfare 3 did a good job at speeding it up, but now I think we should be hopefully in a happy medium where there's some sacrifice you have to make if you want unlimited Tac Sprint, but you still have default Tac Sprint if you don't want to have the perk, which has a longer duration now. They've also changed fall damage, so they make it so you have a little bit more distance and you recover quicker depending on the height, which is pretty cool. I'm assuming with the zip lines, they've just made it so they work like they do in Black Ops multiplayer, which are a lot more fluid and quick to hop on, hop off. This is interesting. So redeploy drones in Urzikstan in particular, they would basically rotate with the zones, and now it seems like once a drone is consumed by gas, it's gone for the rest of that match, which I think it's fine. You have enough resources where you could buy one and that kind of thing, so this might not be too big a deal. So inventory has been streamlined, which I'm super excited for. This no more backpack system. You just have essential slots for certain things. We're going to see how this plays out, but basically you have a gas mask slot, you have a money slot, plates, a kill streak, and a field upgrade. Obviously you're going to have slots for your weapons and dedicated slots for your ammo, but I'm super excited that the backpack system's gone. No more spamming bunker busters and clusters and precisions. I think that was a huge issue with the last 2 games that feels like it should be no more. It's kind of interesting where Warzone is right now, because it does feel like we're at the point now where this game itself is going to go in a different direction from Call of Duty multiplayer in a way that we have not seen up to this point. And I'm going to show you what I mean. We'll go straight to the new perks that are available. So one thing you can notice if you play multiplayer for Black Ops, you're going to see that some of these perks don't even exist in multiplayer. They seem to be combinations of things that are in multiplayer, but more so that are things that have existed in Warzone the last 3 or 4 years. So for slot 1, this is basically your blue slot. You can have veteran, grenadier, dexterity, which is basically a combination of mountaineer with reduced weapon motion while jumping, sliding, and diving. You have scavenger. So this one's huge now for regains. Just like Warzone 1, if you're regaining after winning a gulag or somebody buying you back, you can hit the loadout and get a gun with scavenger and you're fully loaded, which is huge win. And we were missing this for the last like 2 games of the last 2 iterations of Warzone. And then obviously Survivor's back, which is similar to Quick Fix, I'd say. Some interesting ones. I'm not going to go over all these, obviously, but some interesting ones is Tracker. So Tracker does what Tracker does in multiplayer, but they also combine Tracker with Combat Scout. So bullets you fire briefly mark an enemy on target for you and your squad, on top of tracking footprints. Now, what's interesting about this too is, and I don't know if somebody in the comments could tell me, one counter to this version of Tracker is actually cold-blooded in that you can't see footsteps. I don't think that was true in last year's version of Warzone. I don't think cold-blooded countered Tracker, but I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments below. So this one is going to be probably one that a lot of sweats are going to use, which is Sprinter. It's basically full auto attack sprint without having to take your knife out, which again, it's a trade-off, right? So some people, I could see people bouncing between this and probably Quick Fix, maybe cold-blooded, but now you have to make a sacrifice if you do want unlimited attack sprint and you don't want to have to pull out your knife to do that. Otherwise, you can save this spot for one of these other red perks and just pull your knife out. Cold-blooded. So like I mentioned, this has immunity to Tracker. It also has immunity to alertness, which is high alert in this one. And then Quick Fix. One interesting thing they did with Quick Fix is you can now insert one plate at a time with one hand while you're hip firing a weapon. And that's something that's, if you play zombies, you can do that in zombies, and they're actually carrying this forward to Quick Fix. I think this, especially in Resurgence, is going to be a top pick for a lot of players because there's a lot of benefits to this. And now we move to slot 3, which is the yellow perks. So you have Gung Ho, which reduces movement penalties when reloading, and you can reload while you're attack sprinting. So we have Resolute, which I thought Resolute was a really good perk for certain guns or certain loadouts. And I think it stands true in this version of Warzone, especially with the way the movement is now. I want to see how Resolute feels with this 15% movement speed bonus, coupled with Omni movement and the Black Ops speed pace. How broken it might be, especially when you're getting shot in like Resurgence and that kind of thing. Obviously, Ghost. So Ghost didn't really change too much, which is nice. Bird's Eye. So one thing they changed is you will no longer increase sweep speed or duration of UAVs. Which, okay, that's fine. Then we have Tempered, which didn't change, and High Alert, basically. So one other new addition, or I guess revisited addition, is Lootable Perks. They had this in Caldera. I don't think it was in Modern Warfare 2, and I don't think it definitely wasn't in Modern Warfare 3, but basically Shrouded and Irradiated are perks that you could pick up, and if you die, they're gone from your player, whereas the previous, like the previous 2, like in Modern Warfare 3 Warzone and Modern Warfare 2 Warzone. So I'm assuming that eventually they'll be adding some more lootable perks over time. So one other addition to Warzone is wildcards. Like I mentioned, Overkill is probably going to be a high pick where you basically get to have 2 primary weapons. Bandolier allows you to have a munition satchel, which allows you to carry more ammo, tactical equipment, and lethal equipment. Gunfighter. I think Gunfighter is going to be pretty cool to use, especially with Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 guns. I'm very curious to see, with all the changes we're going to go over in the patch notes for guns, what this really looks like. Because I don't want to jump the gun, but we're going to have probably too many options, and that might be a problem, but it might be exciting, especially for people who make loadout content. Gunfighter might change the game for certain guns that probably people forgot about. So we have Battle Ready, and I think this is another interesting wild card that they added, where it basically allows you to get a UAV with your loadout. This might be a perk that gets used heavily in ranked. You get one teammate that has this. You guys get your loadout. You immediately have a UAV and a utility box. You could also see players just have this with another loadout, especially like sweats who want to just get an immediate UAV. It's definitely something where I think you could exploit it. If you have a team of 4 or 3, and at least 2 or 3 of you, maybe all 4, have this, you immediately have an advanced UAV, which is kind of crazy to think about. We'll have to see how often this gets used. And next up, we have the satchels. Like I said, like I mentioned before, because the backpack system is gone, which is exciting, they're going back to having satchels. So armor satchel works like it used to in Modern Warfare, like in Warzone 1 and Caldera, where if you get the satchel, you could basically hold 12 plates instead of 6. And now they have a munition satchel, which allows you, like I mentioned, to hold just more ammo and more equipment. So I'm not going to go over, but here are a list of all the lethals and non-lethals that are coming in to the game. I do think we have to keep an eye on spy camera, because I saw some interesting uses of it in Nuketown, and I wonder if this is going to be something where it's going to be cheese in Warzone, but we'll find out. Stimmies. Okay, some notes about equipment. We're not going to go over the equipment changes. I do wonder how smokes are going to be used in Urzikstan now. The smokes in Black Ops 6 are a little different, but I don't know if they're different enough that people aren't going to just continue to use smokes, especially in big map. We're gonna have to see if they did enough here. So this section is more about kill streaks. Care package is new. Napalm strike is new. SAM turret is new, which I'm curious how SAM turret's gonna work. I wonder if you could take out the big helicopter with a SAM turret. They added a sentry turret. I don't know about this one. Bunker buster is returning. Cluster strike. This cluster strike, I'm curious how different it's going to be, because I feel like in multiplayer, the LDBR, I think it's called, is the cluster strike for Black Ops, and its pattern is way different from traditional cluster strike. So we'll have to see how that plays. And then they have the usual foresight, counter UAV, precision, and supply UAV. One thing that they did with the bunker buster is that now if you're on a roof and you're getting bunker busted and you have a trophy system, it's actually going to detonate the bunker buster mid-air, and it's going to prevent it from going all the way through the building or through the first 2 levels of the building, depending on how tall the building is, which is, I think, super interesting. And I'm glad that they're doing that. But I'm curious too if this is going to render bunker busters kind of, I wonder if it's going to make bunker busters one of the least used kill streaks, because I think the biggest thing with bunker busters, and this goes with all the kill streaks, is that because you had backpacks, you just had so many people exploiting the fact that you could call a bunker buster, precision, and that kind of thing all in one shot. And now with no backpacks, it almost feels like they should have waited, but we'll see how this plays. We'll see how this plays. So now we have, for field upgrades, we have Scrambler, which is new, Warcry, which is similar to Battle Rage. I don't know why these are new. Decontamination station is coming back, deploy buy station is coming back, Clever, loadout drop, heartbeat monitor, a lot of the same stuff from previous war zones. They did make some adjustments. They increased the range for the heartbeat sensor. They increased the duration for the portable radar. They increased the duration of the pulse from 25 to 30 seconds. The drones deploy faster, which is nice, because the only way you could get it to deploy faster previously is by basically quickly hitting melee after you activate the drone, which will allow you to like kind of fly up while skipping in the animation for equipping the drone. So hopefully you won't need to do it. This will just deploy pretty quick. Reinforcement flares, you can use them 30% faster, which is also a huge win. Everything's about like pacing, the pace of everything speeding up, which I think is a huge win. So I'm not going to read this whole thing, but basically this goes into the weapons. So they've done a lot of things to adjust some of the guns from Black Ops 6 to be more viable in Warzone without touching multiplayer. So for instance, one thing they did is like the AS Val has a default magazine of 20 in multiplayer, but for Warzone, they're setting it to 30 as a default, which means that if you had an extended mag, they're probably bumping all of that up, which is, like I said, I feel like this is the game where we're starting to really see big difference between what happens in multiplayer and what happens in Warzone. And I'm hoping that they continue that and they just make Warzone a standalone game that isn't that baked into the Call of Duty headquarters system, that they want everything to kind of be one-to-one. It seems like they're realizing that it just doesn't make sense, because one of the other things that I'm going to mention now is that Black Ops 6's multiplayer is 100 HP, but for Warzone, they're keeping it at 150, which I think is going to be really interesting with all the movement changes, and we're just going to have to see how that plays out. I can't recall whether or not they've done that before. I think they might have done it in Caldera, but I can't really remember. I think Vanguard's multiplayer was also 150. But circling back to the weapons themselves, sniper lovers and shotgun lovers are going to love that all snipers and shotguns while ADSing from all iterations of Call of Duty that are in this game. So Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, and Black Ops 6 are one-shot headshot potentials within their respective damage ranges. So seems like they're going against the grain, the traditional grain that they have been going. Instead of making one or two guns, making one or two sniper rifles, one-shot headshots, it seems like they're going to allow for all these bolt-action snipers to have basically a damage range drop-off where they can do 300 damage to the head and down people. So they are doing some attachment adjustments for Black Ops 6. Here you can see that they're actually doing a couple tweaks to certain modifiers and damage ranges for certain attachments that are in Black Ops 6. So the CHF barrel, and it seems like they don't want people to use rapid fire. So here's one of the most exciting things that I think that they're doing. I think they really thought about this and have been thinking about how they were going to do this. But basically, so they basically gone in and removed a lot of the negative penalties to a lot of the attachments in Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, which I think is huge. If you think about it from the standpoint of trade-offs, Modern Warfare 2 guns had crazy trade-offs along with tuning, which I'm hoping that's not going to come back. But now you couple the fact that suppressors, flash hiders, all these muzzle and barrel attachments don't have negative penalties, on top of the fact that you can equip Gunfighter to your loadout and attach 8 different attachments to certain guns. You know, there might be, I'm telling you, there might be a swath of guns that you can use based on your play style. I think I'm hoping is as exciting as I'm making it sound, but we're gonna see. Speaking of weapons, there's gonna be 2 new weapons. There's a Krig C that is probably in the battle pass, as well as the Saug submachine gun that's in the battle pass. And then in season, I'm assuming reloaded, we get the Sarin 9mm and a power drill. There's also going to be new attachments. So we have the Dragon's Breath, a weight stock, burst fire conversion for the XM4, and a burst fire conversion for the compact. And you can see here, this is all the weapons adjustments. And you can see Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 2, damage increase, medium damage increase, removed the medium damage range, leg modifier increases. Now there's some decreases, but all in all, these are all Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 guns. Which I think is a huge W. And I think part of it for them is, you know, they still have cosmetics that people can buy for these guns, and they want people to keep spending money, and it just allows them to have, you know, options for what they're going to put in the store or what bundles people can buy and that kind of thing. At the end of the day, right, we all know it's to make more money, and at least now at least we benefit from that, hopefully, where these guns can be used. There's always going to be meta guns, but you just want a little bit of variety, you know, based on, sometimes it's just based on like guns you can use in Resurgence versus guns you can use in Urzikstan, and I'm hoping that that's what this plays into. So the last thing I want to talk about, because I didn't want to go over all the notes, was the vehicles. Now, I'm hoping that how they're describing the changes they made to the vehicles makes it so that they are truly just more mobile, more, like they said, more fun to use. And one thing that's interesting that they did was they got rid of the idea of repairing and fueling, along with the flat tire components of vehicles, more usable across the map, and basically have more variety of vehicles, because all the vehicles in Modern Warfare 2, for the most part, aside from the Hummer, and Modern Warfare 3 were just really bad. So I'm hoping that this is the change that we've been looking for vehicles, because vehicles have sucked for 2 years plus now. So hopefully this is the change we needed. And I'll leave you guys with, let me know in the comments below, are you excited for season 1 of Black Ops 6's iteration of Warzone? I know everyone wants Verdansk, and we will get it eventually, but I think there's a lot of changes here, and I'm hoping that it is as fun as they're making it sound. And if there's anything I missed in the patch notes that you guys are really excited about, let me know in the comments below. Drop a like on the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.